Setting goals is one thing, but sticking to them over an extended period of time, that's where most of us struggle. But what if I told you that the secret is in the systems you create to achieve your goals? In this video, I'm going to talk about how I've used systems to keep me on track, even when the motivation and excitement is not giving. It's just not there. I don't have it. I can't find it. My name is Labria Jones. I am an over 40 empty nester that is trying her best to live this one and only life to the fullest. I have a lifelong goal of self-mastery. I'm sharing the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm trying, what's working, what's not working, in the hopes that it will help you live a more fulfilled life as well. And in this video, I'm just kind of bringing forward my project management street cred and the fact that I have always been the project manager of my life, and talking about how I've been able to use systems to help me stick to my goals. So if you into that, if you're trying to stick to goals in 2025, and if you need some systems, then lock in. Let's talk about it. Let's do it. So the truth is, motivation is unreliable. And I think we talk a lot about motivation like it is a character trait or a personality trait, when the truth is it's not. We all have motivation, and motivation, fades. It peaks and it fades for all of us. It's like a spark. It's great for starting a fire, but it's useless if you don't have the wood to keep it burning. Without systems, our goals lose momentum and basically fade away at some point, just like a fire with no wood. And I don't know about you, but I tend to go off vibes for some things, and those tend to be the things that I don't stick to. So to keep it real, I'm working to perfect systems as well. And some of my systems work really well and some of them don't. And I'm working on tweaking them and changing them. But when I have the right systems in place, I can stay consistent even when the vibes are off. Or even more, I can bounce back when life throws me off track, because life happens. Sometimes you just get thrown off track, but when you have a system, it helps you bounce back. The goals that I have that have a working system tied to them, I'm pretty much always going to hit those goals. And the ones that don't have a working system, I'm probably not going to hit them. So let's talk about how I've created systems in my life. And if you have some thoughts on your systems or want to share, please do that in the comments. Let's talk. Let's make this a call and response, and let's learn from each other in this. But let me get into mine. One of the things that I notice every time I search the word systems in YouTube is a whole lot of videos that say set systems, not goals. And it's giving clickbait. It's giving sensationalism. I don't think that it makes sense to separate the two. I think it makes more sense to talk about why systems are important to reach goals versus saying set goals, not systems. I think it's so important to have a goal. A goal is a direction. It's a destination. It's where you're going, right? So I could have a system. If I'm driving cross country, I can have a system to make sure I stop every 2 hours or stop every 4 hours to get gas and use the bathroom. But where the hell am I going? I need a destination. What's the goal here? And so all that to say, I think there's some really good content out there on YouTube about setting systems. What I don't like is the trend of saying set systems, not goals. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you to do both. I'm going to tell you to set your goals and then set the systems that help you accomplish those goals. Because as I said a moment ago, your systems are going to be the things that help sustain you. They're going to be the things that help make this muscle memory and just a part of your life when you don't have the motivation or don't have the excitement about these things. I feel like a lot of times when you don't have the motivation or the vibes are off, that starts to become kind of how you see yourself. Like, I'm not very motivated. I'm not very consistent. I lack the motivation. We turn these things into character traits when the truth is sometimes we all lack the motivation and sometimes we all have challenges being consistent. We are all consistent with some things and inconsistent with other things. That is just the natural order of things. That is just a consequence and symptom of being a human. All right. And so I want us to stop turning these things into character flaws and understand that motivation, consistency, focus, all that kind of stuff just goes up and down for everyone. And some people happen to have systems in place that make them more consistent, even when those things are moving up and down. I want to read you the definition of a symptom. I actually looked this up. Let's read the definition of a symptom. It is a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done, an organized framework or method. And so when we're talking about setting up systems, we are talking about creating organized framework or method to get something done. All right. I know people say systems and folks automatically start thinking this is complicated or this is automated or we're using tools or whatever the case may be. There don't have to be tools involved in your systems. There can be, but there don't have to be. It's really just whatever the process or the framework or the method is to get something done. That's really it. And so along those lines, I see symptoms. Why am I saying symptoms? I see systems as being things that are automated or manual. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some of both of those systems. An example of some automated systems are automatically transferring funds to your savings account. Setting up a goal to save a certain amount and then setting up a system to automatically send a certain amount of your paycheck to your savings account, that is a system that helps you meet that goal. That's an automated system that helps you meet that goal. I used to actually have this thing where I had this goal of I wanted to meditate every morning. And so I automated a morning routine using Alexa. So Alexa would play an alarm for me and I would wake up and I would say, "Good morning, Alexa." And she would automatically start playing my morning routine. The first thing that she would do is play my meditation. I didn't have to worry about doing anything. I didn't have to worry about picking up my phone to turn on the meditation and risking going to Instagram first thing in the morning. I just said, "Good morning, Alexa." And Alexa would automatically play my meditation and we would get to it. So those are some examples of automated systems. A couple of examples of manual processes or manual systems that you can have in place are some things like every Saturday, I lay out my workout clothes, or every Sunday, I lay out my workout clothes for the week. I lay out my workout gear, I lay out my socks, I put my shoes out and everything that I need to go to the gym on Sundays. That is a manual system. All right, so those are examples of automated systems and manual systems. The first and most simple system that I think we can all utilize, which is part automated and part manual, because you've got to do the manual work to get it done, is to calendarize things. We got to have calendars, man, especially at this big age. If any of you watching this are part of the over 40 crew, y'all know life be lifing, okay? And even for my 30-year-olds, like when I remember when I hit 30, like the stakes for my time got higher, especially over 35. The stakes were higher when it came to my time. Probably around 35 is when I started leaning more into calendarizing things. But in general, my feeling is that you are the CEO of your life. You are the VIP in your life, and people should get on your calendar. And not only the people that want your time, but you should be on your calendar. You and your priorities should be on your calendar as well. If you're a mom, if you're a spouse, if you are an employee, I guarantee you all your kids' stuff is on your calendar. Important things to your husband or wife are on your calendar. Important things for your job are on your calendar. And so what that says is you are prioritizing everybody else's stuff but yours. And so a lot of the goals that we talked about, a lot of the actions that we talked about, a lot of the milestones that you are coming up with to reach your goals, that needs to go on your calendar. The things that you need to do for yourself need to go on your calendar. You're just as important as everybody else. And if their things can go on your calendar, so can yours. So I think a base system is calendarizing things, calendarizing the things that are important to you, like the things that you know are coming up. For example, for me, I'm a single mom and I don't have a school-age child anymore, but she is in college and I am paying for it. So it's important for me to know when do classes start and when do I need to pay her tuition so that her classes aren't dropped. So those are things I can easily find out for the entire year. I can go to her school's website. I also want to know when is her spring break and when is school out, because when she's traveling with me, those are important things for me to know. So I can say, well, we'll take a trip together for spring break, or we can take a trip together when you're out of school, things like that. And so these are things that I know up front. And I can get ahead of all of that if I just go ahead and take some time at the beginning of the year to look ahead and say, let me go ahead and calendarize the things I know are coming down the pipeline this year. The other thing that I find it important to do when I go back to the comment that I just made about calendarizing your priorities and the things that are important to you is calendarizing my daily and weekly routines. One of the things that I try to do in my calendar is have like an ideal routine for myself, knowing what time I'm going to the gym, what time I'm doing my morning routine, what time I am eating lunch, what time I am doing my afternoon activity, be that a Peloton ride or a walk or anything like that, what time I'm eating dinner, and then what time I'm going to do my wind down routine. I put that all on the calendar. Now, I may not be able to hit it every time, but it is on my calendar so that as I am building my schedules throughout the days and the weeks, I can work around that. I can start to prioritize around that. One of the things that has really worked for me in building a system is building out those routines, like knowing what my routines are, and we'll get into that in just a minute, and then calendarizing those routines as well. Again, this is not something you absolutely have to stick to, but you are taking a step of prioritizing yourself and prioritizing the things that are important to you. And then the other thing is you have it in the calendar so that you can start to work around it and be intentional about how to work around it. One example is if I already have my gym time on the calendar and a meeting pops up around that gym time. So every night I actually look at my next day. So as I'm looking at the day, I can go ahead and say, well, I have a meeting during this time, so I'm going to go to the gym in the morning, or I'm going to go to the gym after 5 o'clock or something like that. So having that calendar makes it a lot easier for me to prioritize, to shift, and to make adjustments. The other thing that I try to do, my best to do when it comes to systems, is figuring out what can be automated. What can I actually automate? And some of these things might be things that actually meet your goals, but some of these things might also be things that remove your decision fatigue, or you having to do something, or it lessens the tasks that you have to take. One of the automations that I absolutely love is having certain things on subscription. So for instance, my deodorant, I actually use a special deodorant because I have hyperhidrosis, and I buy this deodorant, but it's on a subscription. So I don't have to remember, oh, I'm running out of the deodorant. It shows up at my door every 3 months because I have it on subscription, because I don't want to run out of it and I don't want to have to think about going to buy it. So what are some of the things that you just know you will have to do that you can make automated, that you can automate so you don't have to actually perform any action to make sure that that thing happens? And those can be things that actually help meet your goals. For instance, the thing that I mentioned earlier about automatically transferring money to your savings account, right? That's an automation that might actually meet one of your goals. And then there's some of the automations that just make your life easier so that you can focus on your goals. Another automated thing is utilizing reminders. I mean, I feel two ways about the whole reminders thing. I think we have kind of an over exposure to notifications. And so setting reminders sometimes is ineffective because a lot of times we train ourselves to ignore certain reminders and ignore notifications and things like that. So I'd say balance that in a way that works for you, and think through, what should have a reminder and what should not have a reminder. I don't think everything needs a reminder, but that is another automated way to set a system for yourself. The next thing I'm going to mention, and maybe I should have brought it up sooner because we kind of have talked about this and touched on it a little bit, is defining the habits and routines you need to reach your goals. In the last video where we talked about building action plans, we talked about what are the actions that need to happen to reach the goals. But in some cases, those actions need to be recurring, or you need to have a routine to support those actions. So for instance, if one of your goals was to write a book, one of the actions you need to take is to write. But it's not about just sitting down writing, because you're not going to write a whole book in one sitting. What you want to do is create a routine of consistently writing so that you have enough content to fill a book. And so a routine that you might want to define is, I'm going to write for 15 minutes every day. I'm going to write for an hour every day. I'm going to write for an hour 3 days of every week, or something like that. So really thinking about what are the habits and routines that I need to reach my goals and to stick to the actions that I have for my goals. One of the things that I try to think through when I'm trying to define habits and routines is things that flow easily and things that I just need to change. Let me explain what I mean by that. A lot of times we set habits and goals that are a significant change for us. For example, someone says, I want to start working out 3 days a week. And you set the goal to work out at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning. I'm going to get up at 4 in the morning and start working out. And that might not, you might not be a morning person. So that might be a serious change to who you are and how you work. And that may work. Sometimes we just need to change because let's say that is the only time you can work out because right after work, you've got to pick up kids and you've got to go, take kids to practice and you got to cook dinner and all this other stuff, or you have a job at night. So that is the only time that you can actually work out. So sometimes the habits and routines that we create are things that we're going to have to change ourselves for. It just is what it is. Or the habit or routine is a change. It's just a change in how you've behaved and what you've done. So sometimes it's just that. And in some cases, I've started to think about creating habits and routines that work better with my flow. Let me give you an example. I'm gonna go back to the working out example. For a very long time, I've worked out in the morning, let's say 6 o'clock in the morning, because I was working full time and needed to be available throughout the day. Well, honestly, if I think about flow for me, I am most productive between 6 a.m. and 11 a.m. 6 a.m. and 11 a.m., I could write a novel in them 4 hours. I could write a screenplay. I could cure a disease. I could build an app. I'm exaggerating, but from 6 to 11, my brain is firing. I can get so much done. And so that, from a flow perspective, is the best time for me to be doing deep work. That is the best time for me to do very focused, complex work that requires my energy. It requires my attention. It requires my creativity. It requires me to really be dialed in. That's not the best time for me to go to the gym. And so now that I can build my schedule around my flow, it's better for me to go to the gym around 11 and 12 because that's the time when I start clicking around in tabs, not really doing that. You know what I'm saying? You know how it is. You got all these tabs open and you look up and you were like, I didn't really do anything. I just clicked across 5 tabs and I didn't do anything. That's about the time that starts to happen for me. So the best time for me to go to the gym is at 11. And so I've really been thinking about how do I create habits and routines in a way that flows with my natural rhythm and flows with my natural productivity and flows with just kind of how I am as a person. But how do I temper that with the habits and routines that I just need to conform and change? Because I am trying to be a different person or a better person, or I'm trying to improve. And to do this, I fundamentally need to change something. And so that's just something I'm throwing out there for consideration when you're thinking about these habits and routines. Is this something that you've tried over and over and over and over again and it just has not stuck? If that's the case, then maybe it's because it doesn't flow with you the right way. And you need to think about how it flows into who you are fundamentally. Second thing I want to call out when we're talking about defining habits and routines is habit stacking. I feel like habit stacking is a bit of a hack, but and I don't mean hack like like it's shady or it's not good. I mean hack like this is a win. This is like a really, really good thing. And some of it's kind of a duh. We naturally habit stack some things, right? So some of us read audiobooks while we're driving to work. That's a habit stack. So you have a habit of driving to work because you got to get to work. Instead of carving out separate time to do it, you are doing it while you're doing something else. So if you have a goal to read a whole lot of books and you've got a nice commute, it's a good idea to habit stack and to just bring that into something that you're already doing. A couple of examples for habit stacking for me are things like taking vitamins. I'm so bad at taking vitamins. One of the things that has been challenging for me throughout my life is consistently taking medicine on a regular basis, unless I need it in that moment. I'm used to taking a rescue inhaler for my asthma, but I am not used to necessarily taking medicine on a day-to-day basis for anything, on a regular basis for anything. And lately I've been taking vitamin D because like a lot of women over 40 dealing with perimenopause, we are low on vitamin D. And so I've been trying to take vitamin D and trying to remember to do that. So I do drink coffee every day though. I do go and make myself a coffee every day. So to habit stack, what I have done is actually take my vitamins and put them next to the coffee maker so that when I do a habit I'm already doing, I can also pick up this habit that I'm not doing. So I don't have to create new processes or a new routine to make this habit. I can just tack it onto a habit I already have and one that I already do consistently and naturally. Another example of habit stacking is one of the things I'm trying to do is study Spanish at least 15 minutes every day. Well, guess what? It takes me about 15 minutes to put on makeup. And so instead of having to carve out 15 minutes that I probably don't have, I take the 15 minutes that it takes me to put on makeup and I use that time to practice my Spanish. And so I'm in the mirror putting on makeup and I am practicing my Spanish at the very same time. So think of ways that you can actually habit stack some of your routines. I want to share a few examples for routines that I've had to actually carve out for myself. Obviously, going to the gym is a routine that I had to carve out. I have to carve out time to do that for myself. And I'll be honest with you, one of the things I've had to remind myself, and I hate that I've had to do this, but I have not found a cure for being human, and this is just how we are, is going to the gym always makes me feel so good. I always feel so good after workout. And I cannot figure out for the life of me why it's so hard for me to go knowing that. Knowing that it feels so good to go to the gym, why is it so hard for me to do it? And I realized one day that the gym is actually like meditation for me. I don't love like sitting in silence and that kind of meditation. I do it because it's necessary and it's beneficial and I get the benefits from it. But going to the gym feels like meditation to me. It really, really does. I don't know why I brought this up. I don't remember why I brought this up, but we're going to keep it in the cut anyway. I'm telling my editors to keep that in the cut. We're going to keep it in the cut anyway. I don't remember where I was going with this, but carving out routines. Oh, because I said I had to carve out time to go to the gym. And what I was going to say is carving out that time has felt good and it feels necessary, not just for my health, but because it's something I do for me and it feels like meditation to me. But there are other places where I need to carve out time to have routines to meet goals. So one of my goals for 2025 is to post 8 videos per month on YouTube. I ain't gonna just be able to just sit down in front of this camera and just post these videos. I don't know if you have ever done a YouTube video or not, but I'm going to tell you a lot goes into this. A lot goes into this. And so I really have to be intentional about carving out a routine to make this work. So if I'm gonna post 8 videos a month, that routine has to look like, when am I going to ideate? I need to carve out time to ideate on videos, come up with ideas for some of these videos. I need to have time to research and script these videos. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a word for word script, but I need an outline. Like, what are we talking about? What are you sharing, Libria? Otherwise, I'm just sitting here rambling like I am in this very moment. And then I have to carve out time to sit here and record the video as well. And I also have to carve out time to edit or at least outsource the editing. And even if I outsource the editing, I've got to carve out time to actually review the edit and give feedback and then re-review the final. And then I've got to carve out time to actually do the uploads, which can take a while sometimes. And so there's a whole routine that I actually have to carve out there. That said, when you're thinking about your goals, especially if they are goals where I want to do something substantial on a regular basis, where I want to record and post 8 videos a month, or I want to write a book, or I want to launch a new business or something like that, what are the routines that you need to have that are going to help you get to that goal? And a lot of times those routines are going to require you to carve out time to do that, which takes me back to my previous point about carving out calendar time and getting this stuff on your calendar. I actually made an editorial calendar for YouTube. And so happy to share that with you. It's literally on my calendar and I don't get to do it every single day. I don't get to stick to this calendar every single week because different things, different projects come up and different things come up. But in general, I have this set calendar for how I want to hit this goal of uploading 8 videos a month. Now, this is an ideal calendar, and just the mere fact that I called out that I don't always hit it means that I probably need to adjust that system because that system isn't working. We're going to get to talking about that in just a minute. But the fact is, a system is in place that can be tweaked. So the key thing is having a system in place. Another system that I think is not considered enough when it comes to systems is figuring out where you need to spend money. You may need to spend money to create a system in a certain case. You may need to hire a coach. You may need to hire a trainer, you may need to hire a tutor, or you may just need to outsource a certain process. And that becomes the system. Let me give you an example. One year, I was having a whole lot of trouble consistently going to the gym. And to get myself to that point, the routine, the system that I created was I actually hired a trainer. I don't need anybody to teach me how to lift weights. I've been lifting weights since I was 16 years old. I took weightlifting class. My best friend's dad was a weightlifting trainer. He used to have us in the gym, ninth grade, lifting weights. Also, I was the one who trained myself to look like this. I don't need nobody to teach me how to lift weights. But I did need help being consistent going to the gym. And so I hired a trainer. It was a godsend because I had to meet him at the gym 4 or 5 days a week. I think 4 days a week. He did Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And so I paid this man. And so I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up because I paid. This man got my money. And so that was a system in which I spent money. I put money into the system so that I could be more consistent and showing up to the gym. And it worked. Another place I spent money was hiring a tutor. I've been saying for years that I'm going to learn to speak Spanish and I want to get fluent in speaking Spanish. But are you? Are you, amiga? And so this is one of those situations where I was like, fine, I'm just gonna put my money where my mouth is and hire a tutor that I have to meet with 2 times. Right now, we're just doing 2 classes a week. My goal is to get to the point where we have 3 classes a week. Maybe not. Anyway, I'm trying to assess if 2 classes a week is enough. I honestly would love to do a Spanish immersion program where I just go somewhere for a few months and they only speak to me in Spanish. But the point is, I spent money to invest in a tutor, and that is the system that is helping me reach the goal of speaking Spanish. So that said, when you're thinking about your systems, think about, are there places where I can spend money to create a system that makes this easier for me to hit my goal? And that can be hiring a coach, hiring a mentor, hiring a tutor, or even outsourcing something as well. Another system that can work as well that I don't hear talked about a lot when it comes to systems is accountability. Having accountability partners. That can be one-to-one person. So one of the accountability things that I love is my niece and I, we share our activity on our Apple Watches. And so I get a notification every time she finishes a workout. And then I send her like this little muscle emoji just to let her know, I see you, sis. I see you, niece, getting it in. And usually that really motivates me because now I want her to see the notification that I finished a workout as well. So that's one way to do accountability. But some people join accountability groups. Some people have masterminds or they have their accountability partners for certain things. For example, one of my friends, one of her big things was she really wanted to finish the Bible in a year. And so she had a prayer group that would get together and go over what they read in the Bible every week. Some of my friends have a number of books they want to read in a year. And so they're part of book clubs. Book clubs are a version of accountability groups. And so that's another system that you can have in place to help you reach your goals as well. Okay, and the other thing that I think is super, super important when it comes to having systems is a system to monitor and track against. I think one of the very key things about being consistent or reaching your goals or sticking to your goals is monitoring and tracking them. I think that's key because you see, how close you are to the goal, how far you need to go, what you've done, what you haven't done. But you can also start to see, do I need to make an adjustment to the system or to the goal? Maybe this goal isn't important to me. If I say I have a goal to learn to speak Spanish or learn to shoot pool, this is a good example. In 2024, one of my goals was to learn to shoot pool. When I look up, I have not really been going to shoot pool. So if I monitor this and look and see how many times I went to shoot pool in a month, if I only went 4 times in a whole quarter, do you really want to learn how to shoot pool, friend? Or is this just like kind of a nice to have? Or is this just not a priority for you right now? Maybe it's still a desire and a goal, but maybe it's just not a priority for you right now. And so I think it's so important to track and monitor your progress because it tells you so much about yourself and what you need to do and what you need to not do as well. And so a couple of things. One, habit trackers. A lot of people like to do habit trackers, and those can come in the form of notebooks. You can write your habits down. There's templates online that you can use to track habits and things like that, where you have a list of the habits that you want to make sure that you're, checking the box on. Am I drinking enough water? Am I sleeping 7 hours a night? Am I working out? Whatever the habits are that you've created, you want to track those. Doing weekly reviews and monthly reviews. I think those are so important to track your progress. Even if you don't do a weekly review, I personally implore you to do a weekly review, because what that does is you can sit down and really look over your week and see how things are going, and then go ahead and set your priorities for the next week as well. And you get to collect so much data on yourself on a week-to-week basis. So when I do a weekly review, I'm thinking about what were my biggest challenges this week? What were my biggest wins this week? What have I learned? What could I have done better? Things like that. And then I'm updating on my goal, my larger goals, kind of any progress towards those larger goals. So I do that on a week-to-week basis, which gives me a lot of information when I do it monthly or quarterly. And it makes that monthly and quarterly review so much easier, which also makes an annual review so much easier. So I actually have that calendarized. So it's on the calendar. On Sundays, one of my routines is, and this is habit stacking, on Sundays, my routine is to do my weekly facial. I'm going to do my weekly at-home facial, and I'm also going to do my weekly review at the same time. And then I have on my calendar where I am going to do a monthly review, and depending on what time of the year it is, it's going to be a quarterly review as well. And so those things are already on the calendar, and I can shift them if I need to, but they are already on the calendar, because remember, I'm a VIP. I'm on my own calendar, okay? I am on the calendar because my priorities are important. All right, so the next thing I really want to talk about real fast is mindset traps. So there's a few mindset traps that I want us to just kind of be thinking through when we're talking about systems. And number one is to find ways to make the systems fun. Not every system has to be so rigid and so robotic. That is one of the things I actually love about Ali Abdaal. He always talks about, feel good productivity. One of the things that he does is he thinks about, like, what is his quest for the day? What adventure is he taking today? And that's how he looks at his priority. So his number one priority for the day is an adventure. What adventure am I on today? And things like that. He comes up with side quests. So what are his other priorities? I don't necessarily need that, but that might be beneficial for someone else. I try to just infuse fun in my day-to-day life anyway. So for example, before I sit down to record YouTube videos, I always perform a musical number from one of my favorite musicals. So Grease, Dreamgirls, Hamilton. I'm going to sit here and perform an entire song like I'm getting paid to do it. And I cannot sing, let's be very clear. But it's really fun and it's exciting. It gets me hyped. It gets me in the mood to sit here and actually talk to no one. To talk to a little camera. This little camera eyeball is like looking at me. I need to be able to convey the energy and my personality when I'm recording these videos. And so one of the ways that I make sure that I can do that and I have the energy to do that is to infuse fun in the process by singing musical numbers. Yes, that is what I do before I record every video. I do a whole musical number. Yes, I'm a weirdo. Second mindset trap that I try not to fall in, is the mindset shift from I have to I get to. It is so easy, and it happens to all of us, and it happens so easily. I have to go to the gym. I have to cook. I have to meal prep. And I'm trying to, in some cases, when I feel myself constantly doing that, shift that thinking to I get to. I am 46 years old. There will come a time where I won't be able to go to the gym. I hope that time is a very, very long ways away, but I have no control over that and we just don't know. And so I have been trying to think, oh, I get to go to the gym today. I get to go to the gym this morning. I actually have a friend who, he used to be a bodybuilder. He used to be in really, really, really good shape. And he ended up getting this illness out of nowhere. Like this happened to him out of nowhere that affected his sweat glands. And so he cannot expel sweat from his body, which causes a lot of pain and a lot of other issues. And he cannot go to the gym. He used to love working out. He used to love going to the gym. And so a lot of times when I find myself complaining about being able to work out, I go back to that and I'm like, you know what? I get to work out. I'm not in a place where I cannot do this. I'm in a place where I actually get to do this. And so when I feel myself complaining a lot, I try to remind myself that I get to do these things. Right. So that's one of the little mindset tricks to get out of the mindset traps. And then the other thing is focus on the system, not on perfection. When things get off track and you feel like you're not sticking to certain things, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. It's about the system. It's not about who you are as a person. It's not about your character. It's not about your inability to be consistent. It's not about any of those things. In some cases, life just happens and we get off track. Here's the good thing. If you have a system in place, it's easier to recover. It's a lot of times easier to recover when you have a system to fall back to. So let's say, I don't know why I'm sticking with this gym, but that is the thing that a lot of us are trying to do consistently. But let's say that you are in the habit of putting out your workout clothes every Sunday so that you can go to the gym in the mornings. And something happens on a Sunday, your kid ends up in the hospital and you don't get to put the clothes out. And so Monday, you end up not going to the gym because you didn't even wash your gym clothes. And then you finally wash your gym clothes, but you didn't get to put them out. So Tuesday, you find yourself running around looking for your stuff and you run out of time, so you miss the gym. Well, what's going to happen is on Tuesday, you'll probably correct that. So yeah, you missed it Monday and Tuesday, but that doesn't mean the system doesn't work. And that doesn't mean that you aren't on top of things. That just means that you got off track, but you'll get right back on because you have a system in place. Okay. The other thing is maybe the system needs to be adjusted. So if you find yourself falling off on a regular basis, and this is something that I'm having to do, especially as I'm reviewing my year, I'm thinking about where are the places where I had a system in place, but it didn't work. Just like I just mentioned, I have an editorial calendar for YouTube and I'm supposed to write on certain days. On Mondays, I'm supposed to write. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm supposed to record. And then Friday is supposed to edit, but I handed the editing off. I don't write nothing on Mondays. I have not been writing on Mondays at all. And so I need to change the system. I created this system before I understood what my flow is for this. And so now that I've been doing this for a little while, I can see, well, when do I typically like to write? And now I can redesign the system around my flow and around what works. And so if it's not working, look at the system and look at how you're flowing with the system and just make adjustments. This is not about your character and who you are and what you are able to do. This is not about your abilities. It's about how do you need to tweak the system, or it's about accepting that you're in a weird place right now, but you're going to fall back to your system as soon as you get out of it. So do yourself a favor for me and give yourself some grace. Okay. Okay, I just talked a lot, but systems make my life easier and honestly make it easier for me to stick to things when I don't have the motivation or when I'm going off vibes. And I want you to notice something. This ends up looking like basically an upside down triangle. We're talking about creating the systems, routines, and habits that help you follow the plans and actions that you put in place, that help you meet the goals so that you can reach your desired outcomes. You see what I did there? You see how that worked out? I have an idea. Let's crowdsource some ideas for systems together, shall we? Okay, let's see if we can follow these instructions. Drop a goal in the comments and then look at someone else's goal and share an idea for a system that they could put in place to reach that goal. Let's all help each other out in the comments and crowdsource ideas. Also, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give your girl a thumbs up. And lastly, if you missed any part of the 6 steps I shared on how to prep and plan for 2025, you can check out that playlist to get caught up. The link is down below, and it's in the description box as well. And thanks for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.